Barcelona's summer story refuses to be tight. Just when supporters thought the business was done, the club has been plunged into a last-minute scramble, not for a marquee signing, but for two teenagers who might, quietly and quickly, reshape the squad. The first is Bardghji, a 19-year-old winger whose summer arrival promised pace, directness and a new attacking option on the flanks. The second is Bernal, a highly rated academy midfielder whose progress was brutally halted by an ACL injury and whose recovery and reported fresh contract now read like a deliberate vote of faith from the club. On paper, the moves look simple. Register the youngsters with the first team and slot them into the rotation. In reality, they expose the tightrope Barcelona still walk between sporting ambition and financial constraint. Over the last 48 hours, outlets close to the club have reported that Barcelona moved to register both youngsters with an eye to making them available as the season settles into its groove. For Bardghji, the conversation has been messy. Some reports say he's been filed with Barça Athletic so he can get minutes while the club sorts salary cap and visa technicalities. Others say Barcelona pushed to secure him a first-team number because Hansi Flick sees him as a clear rotation option. That tug-of-war tells you everything. The coaching staff want the player in the mix now. La Liga's regulations and the club's roster math complicate how and where he can be listed, and the final decision will shape how many minutes he gets this autumn. For fans, Bardghji's registration represents both hope and a warning. Hope because the kid brings fresh attacking unpredictability in a side that still needs vertical pace. A warning because his immediate availability may depend as much on bureaucracy as on form. Bernal's chapter feels altogether more human. He was one of La Masia's brightest prospects until an ACL rupture halted his rise last year. The whispers that he will sign a new deal stretching to 2029, a long-term commitment reported by inside sources, read as the club protecting and betting on its own, even while they wait for the medical progress to keep pace with ambition. Bernal's return isn't a dramatic overnight miracle. It's been months of rehab, incremental milestones and careful planning so that when minutes do come, they won't be a gamble that risks another setback. If the paperwork confirming his registration and extension lands as reported, it will be a signal. Barcelona want him inside the first-team environment to train, to learn the tempo of senior football and to be introduced in measured spells once the team context allows. Put together, these two registrations do more than change a squad list. They expose the coaching staff strategy and the club's current constraints. Hansi Flick now has options. A 19-year-old winger who can stretch defences gives him the kind of situational unpredictability managers crave late in games. A homegrown, technically fluent midfielder returning from injury offers an internal solution to midfield depth without the cost or disruption of the transfer market. But the legal and financial backdrop is important. La Liga rules on registrations and salary cap arithmetic still influence who can be listed as a first-team player, and Barcelona have repeatedly had to prioritise which deals and registrations they can fit under that ceiling. That tension means fans should manage expectations. A registration doesn't guarantee immediate starts, and a long-term contract doesn't remove the need for gradual minutes. Still, the symbolism is powerful. Registering youngsters, rather than only pursuing established names, is a statement that Barca sees its way forward partly through homegrown talent. Over the coming weeks, the real tests will be concrete. Will Bardghji get his first minutes in La Liga or begin life with the reserves and a few senior cameos? How heavy will Bernal's minutes be when he returns from the final phases of rehab? A few measured appearances or a steady reintegration? And how will Flick balance the need to win today with the necessity of nurturing these two long-term assets? For a club in the headlines for finances as much as football, this is a quiet but pivotal moment. Paperwork and medical reports are boring on the surface, but in them lie the decisions that shape seasons. If both registrations hold and both players arrive at match fitness on schedule, Barcelona will have bolstered depth at minimal transfer cost and given supporters something else to cheer. The promise that La Masia can still deliver, that comebacks are possible, and that even in a window of chaos, Fran. Carefully nurtured youth can be the difference between a squad that survives and one that evolves. Keep an eye on the squad lists and the coming team sheets. The headlines today set the stage, but the minutes they earn on the pitch will tell us whether this was bureaucratic noise or the beginning of a genuine youth revolution at Barca.